I got this one. So this one is turned on. So that'll help people there. So, okay. All right. We're live. So we'll get started. What today is about building your precinct. And really what I was just explaining a second ago, we're going to try to go through this as fast as possible. A lot of this is like high level because, there's kind of a big picture of building your precinct because, it's about moving a lot of people to get out and vote, do some things like that. But it's also about getting very granular. So this isn't just a training and then or a coffee and politics kind of discussion where it's all casual and having fun. There's homework to be done. So you guys know your precincts. We have 151 of them in Greenville. You need to get involved in the data of your precinct and actually knowing your neighbors. And I'll give the example, when we did our precinct reorg in 2021 for the Timberlake precinct, I think we brought out 50 some odd people, which was kind of like a record at the time, because normally it's like nobody shows up or you got 2 or 3 people show up. What we need is a lot more civic engagement and participation if we want to be effective about what we're doing. So I will tell you, there was a gentleman down in Beaufort. I'll give him a lot of credit, Mike Tunner. He brought out 100 people to his precinct reorg this past year. He said, and so I obviously was rather impressed. So I had to call him and find out how he did it. But he got very granular in the data. He actually he said, I can tell you, he's bringing Republicans, but he's like, I can tell you which one's like Trump, which one's like DeSantis, and which one's like Nikki. Wow. So, he kind of got that granularity, how do you say that, into his data. Y'all really need to do that too. What Austin and Scott we put together on the GOP Plus kind of has a lot of that data in there. What we're trying to do is get more data and some initiatives to get the data that the state party has, which they refuse to give us. They give it to some other counties, but they won't give it to us, because they think we'll use it against them, which they're absolutely correct. I saw a head shaking yes, but that's okay. They're the state party. They have to give out we give out what we have from the state party. We don't have anything, so we can't give it out. So, but I'm sure they give it out to the people that oppose us. But today is about that. We'll talk about, there'll be somewhat of a homework assignment to get that done. But it's also a big picture and kind of what this is all about. So Olga, if you can go to the next page. We did a PowerPoint, but we'll talk about it as well. But this, Olga does the every Sunday, the Happy Sunday email that goes out. It's, and I kind of found her thing that she sent last Sunday pretty appropriate to today. And I think that's James 1:22, but it's 1:22. It's be doers of the world and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. A lot of people, I pay attention to politics. I watch Fox News. You think you're doing something. And I'm not saying to people, but you think you're doing something by at least being a little bit in tune with what's going on. And that's at least a positive first step, but you're not really being a doer. And I'm not trying to be mean or call people out. I will tell you, my father's business partner in the old days, he literally didn't follow the news whatsoever. And I think he accomplished as much as my father did, following the news all the time and being paranoid about it and freaking out. Think about what we're actually accomplishing. Are we getting more people to our side? Are we bringing more neighbors out to vote in the primaries? Are we helping convince people to come to our side of the aisle, as opposed to letting them think it's okay to change the gender of a 5-year-old child? We have to get involved in it. And I will tell you, it is very uncomfortable in local politics. It is very easy to sit there and get mad watching Fox and talk about AOC and Nancy Pelosi and all those types of things. It's a whole lot harder calling out somebody that is a neighbor or somebody that you're going to run into at the grocery store or those types of things. So local politics is hard. But we have to, if we want to accomplish what we're trying to set out to do, what I think everybody here wants to accomplish, we have to do. So I'm all about being a doer and being, results oriented. We're right now, everybody wants to get rid of Drew McKissick. I assume everybody in this room does, but there's a lot of people that talked the big talk at the last reorg statewide, but did not accomplish. We are looking for measurable results of what is accomplished. Our job here up in Greenville was to obviously re-win, for reorg last time for the state party side of it, was to win Greenville and deliver the 4th congressional district. We did that. We delivered. I don't want to take credit away from our Spartanburg friends, but they followed our advice. They followed this. They delivered. Other areas did not deliver. Even the people that were good in their areas or congressional districts did not deliver. And I'm like, I don't really care if it's not. This is like not horseshoes and hand grenades or whatever. There's no A for effort. We have to deliver. And we have to really deliver if we want to save our country and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think, we are at a precipice. We've been there, but I think we've made as one person said yesterday at Coffee and Politics, thank God we had Donald Trump. Because if Donald Trump was not here, I think we would have been over the edge already. I mean, whether you like him or not, how you feel about his attitude on some things. But I'm just telling you, he's woken up a lot of people. And he doesn't really care, and he's calling things out. And he's got a bigger, grandiose plan, but he is delivering, and that's why I personally give him a lot more grace than some people do, and I think it's because he's delivering. Also, point number 2 about being a doer. From today we got 94 days until the June primary. That's minus 14 days for early voting. So if we want to make a meaningful difference in the June primaries, we need to get active now and certainly, get out there in April and May of meeting your neighbors and getting some information out to them. And if you're looking at it from a reorg perspective, that starts March 1st of 2027. That's 359 days, and the clock ticks quickly. So, Olga, if you go to the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we organize our precincts. We have 15%. This is, again, back to kind of big picture. We have 15% turnout. That is miserable. Why are people not coming out to vote? I think people don't come out to vote because of the political nastiness. This is kind of point number 2. But if the goal-oriented thing here is how we can easily save this, and it's really not that much work. If we can take turnout from 15% to 20%, and if that extra 5 out of 100 people are MAGA, America First people that care about their community and those types of things, we can win it all. That's literally increasing turnout 30%. And if 30%, really elections are generally determined based on 5, 6, 7%, one way or the other. So we're talking about turning out an additional 30% of the people, but it's also only five people out of 100. So my personal precinct, we got 2,300 people. What's 5 times 23? It's turning out another 100 people. Can I motivate 100 people out of my neighborhood that would not normally vote to come out and vote? And I think the easiest, most simple thing about it is people don't even know there's an election. And it is mind-blowing to me that people don't know there's an election. But we can fix that real easy by just reminding people of the election, reminding them of early voting. I was watching the state party chairman for Texas, because they had their primaries this past Monday, as did North Carolina. The Texas state party chairman, and it's a much higher level game out there. There's big money, big stakes. It's a big deal in Texas, and they're only 5 times bigger than we are here in South Carolina. But he was like, they map out who goes in early votes. And so over the weekend before the actual, voting primary on this past Tuesday, for their people that they were working with, they got out the list to everyone of who had not voted yet. So you don't have to waste your time on the people that have already early voted. Just focus your time and energy and mailers or door knocking and all that kind of stuff on the people that had not voted yet. And thankfully, it turned out pretty well in Texas overall. They certainly voted down Sharia law down, but 95% to 5%, which apparently gets it on their November election, which will hopefully make Sharia law permanently banned out there. But again, why do we have low turnout? I personally have been talking about this with a lot of people and pushing it. Is we okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
All right. I think it's because of political nastiness, and I'm trying to get people to stop tolerating that. I was literally at a hearing the other day, court hearing, trying to help somebody that's advocating for stuff, so they don't get stuck with a $106,000 bill. And I got to hear around the corner some gentleman walking in talking about my frivolous lawsuits. He's absolutely incorrect in what he's doing, but he knows what he's trying to do by misleading people. And we have got to stop this. I've got a picture here, and I'll play the video because I think it might be of interest to me. It was a 20-second video out of a YouTube. Let's see. But this is the chairman of Lexington County. His name is Mark Weber. He took the leadership role from Pamela Godwin back in 23, and it was part of a whole coup that went on down there. But I mean, we can't be this. We can't accept this. And certainly if we want to build on our side, and I'll play this real quick. I don't know if the volume works, but I don't think there is any volume. This is Mark leaving a SCGOP State Executive Committee meeting, shooting the bird at people that were out there protesting in front of it. Now, in this case, and then you see him pull out with a sticker on the back of his truck saying this is Trump country. He can do that all day long. But you know what? Just think about the Democrats or the people in the middle that see that type of stuff. I mean, they're not going to support Donald Trump. They're not going to support this. I can't deal with that guy. It's like, what do you do when people are doing that? It's on screen. No. Did it not? Oh, did it not share?
I want to see this.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it shared. Let's see. Maybe if I do that and I share a screen.
Well, you cannot share it there. Remember, you have to plug in.
Oh, you're just doing, okay. I'm sorry. She's just got the PowerPoint up there, but so we can't show any of the screens. You can't just play the PowerPoint up there with the.
I can.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Just play the video. So when we get to the videos, you know what I'm saying? I'll play them. They're on StreamYard. If you'll run StreamYard on there, what people are seeing out in the public. We'll come back to it. But he literally drives past and shoots the bird. I think we have to stop tolerating that. I think, and I'm making a big push certainly for the new SCGOP when we do take out Drew McKissick, that that is a policy of the party not to put up with that. Now, 15% of turnout for elections is miserable. How many people turn out to reorg? 0.5%, 0.3%, 0.1%. It's even much worse. I didn't even know about reorg. We've got to educate people about reorg, and it has to be a soft sell of educating them about it. But they have to at least start figuring it out. Well, if you go to the next screen, on PowerPoint. Okay, let's. All right. What will you have to do? This is where the rubber meets the road of what you're going to have to do and think about this as grand. I mean, I can't know every neighborhood. I can't know every person that's a MAGA America First person or Republican in your precinct. So somebody has to get very granular about it. What the big money does is they just send out a bunch of mailers to everybody. And I got 20 some odd mailers for Jason Elliott running for Senate last time. I don't need 20 mailers, and we don't have, the only reason they send 20 mailers is because the money special interest wants him in there versus somebody that would probably do the right thing for the people. But so this is why you need folks to get very granular in their precinct. Number one, you got to be a leader or a team member, somebody that supports that leader. And sometimes we have to, we talked about this in reorg lessons. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, hey, am I the person that can lead my precinct? Or do I need to find somebody that can go out there and bring other people in and be that leader? So think about that. And I will tell you, I mean, even a good friend of ours, there's the state party is having their state executive committee meeting next Saturday in Columbia. And they were doing some various motions and things that the folks are talking about there. It was kind of like, well, do we, they were asking for people to speak on motions. Even a chair for a particular county was like, oh, well, that's not my strength, right? That's okay. She at least recognized that her speaking in favor of a particular motion was not her strength. Happy to second it or whatnot and kind of get the process, but she knew that about herself. We all have to know about what our limitations are. I've got limitations. Everybody's got limitations, and we all have strengths. So we just got to play that strength. But you got to find somebody who's going to be a leader in your precinct. The second thing is you got to know and analyze your data, and it has to do with lists. There's lists. I mean, it's all about understanding the people, and we'll talk about that and where you can kind of find that data to be able to work that, what we can give you, and what you can find from other sources. The third thing, you've got to know your elected officials. Does everybody here know their elected official? They don't. I love you guys, but I'm like, there's a lot of times our people don't even know the name of their elected official. That needs to be number one. What your precinct is has to roll off your tongue. That's why when we do the name tags, we'll do name and your precinct. We identify people by their precinct so they can know to network with other people from their precinct. But we also need to be able to identify your elected officials. A lot of people, what district are you in? Oh, I'm in the 4th district. Is that 4th county council, the 4th district, Congress, and the 4th of the, no, you've got a whole bunch of things. I can name them all. I probably can't name who my 4 fire or my 3 fire district commissioners. That I don't know, but I mean, that's a little esoteric there, but we got to know who our senators are. I mean, know this stuff. I mean, if we don't know it, how can anybody in our neighborhood who might know it and we're wanting to be a leader and they don't, they'll look at us and say, oh, you don't even know who our senator is, or U.S. senator, for God's sake. So, I mean, you got to know that stuff. And I'll show you where you can find that on here. But I mean, it's been one of my frustrations, and it's I think we need to just hone that in. And I don't know how to do it other than just keep saying and pushing people out there. The next thing is your maps. We'll show you where to get the maps. I will tell you, in the old days, before when we first got involved in 21, you couldn't find a precinct map anywhere. Really? Never, nowhere. I mean, and it was like impossible to find the map of your precinct. You want to work your precinct, so you need to at least know the boundaries of your precinct. And then you will ultimately want to know who are the precincts around you and know who the leaders of those precincts are. So y'all can work together, or you can help the precinct next to you, or they can help you in reverse. But you got to, number one, know the boundaries and have your precinct map. I can't remember who it was yesterday. They had a binder. They got their precinct map in their binder. I carry all kinds of binders. I'm all about computers and all that stuff, but I'm also, you got to be about some paper. Right. Get a 3-ring binder, exactly. Print it out, have it for your precinct, and have your precinct map, have your data list in there, all that kind of stuff. I think it'll help you out greatly. The other thing that the map part is part of the homework is designing out walk routes. Yes.
One of the things on maps that I found out, because I've been researching, trying, as you know, you got to check the date. When you're looking at maps and you're Googling this stuff, some of the stuff that shows up is like 2 reorgs ago or redistricting and stuff. So you really got to check the dates real close.
Yeah. And what he's talking about really is for areas that are growing and getting new roads. Might not be on the maps, but I'll give you some current tools as well that you can look at and find your current maps and all that type of stuff. We're updating them. We have to ask Conway to get them every time. So I'll show you York County is a good example that just publishes them out there. And I'm going to ask Conway if he'll do that for us.
And the dates are not always right on Google Maps either. Pull up where Hobby Lobby is. Right. It doesn't even show all the stores.
Really?
And it says at the bottom 2025.
And it's
been there a long time.
Yeah.
That was the post.
Yeah. Daniel?
I got a question, Jeff.
Yes.
My precinct Dawson, for example. Okay. Is this working?
Should be, yes.
Okay. Yes. My precinct, you take Dawson precinct, for example. My precinct is growing, constantly growing. getting new house development, new roads, like, and we got industrial businesses, and we, and Google update those, and on my maps I have, it don't show roads on in my precinct. The precinct map I have at home, I did add on the wall. I add roads on there for my precinct.
Right.
That, for example, in other precincts like down neighborhood precincts are there as well.
Yeah, and but that's why you got to have a piece of paper for it, and then you'll add your notes on there, add in new roads, add in new subdivisions, and then when we, at some point you say, I got to find a new map, and you get the new maps, and we're always looking and struggling for data and for maps, and that's but it's, at least you will have it. I wouldn't even know there was a new neighborhood in your precinct. I don't know the new streets that he's got in his precinct down in Fountain Inn. But that's why we got to get very granular. We got to find leaders in the precincts and leaders in the grander areas and zones and all that type of stuff. So, but what you'll also do with your precincts maps is design out walk routes. This is part of the homework. Get your map. We've got the maps here, and I'll show you where you can all the Greenville maps and where to kind of look for other counties. But get your map, print it out, and then write out what the walk routes are, a 20 or 30-minute walk route of what you could go over and drop literature or just knock on doors, whatever it may take. But you have to break it out, and I'll show you how we did it for our neighborhood and for our precinct in Timberlake. After you've kind of mapped out, you got the basic data, you got your voter data, you got all that stuff, your map, your elected officials. Then you're ready to go contact your neighbors. Now, how do you want to contact? Some people are nervous to knock on the door. I was nervous the first time I knocked on a door. So I get it. And I'd been through law school, I'd done all this kind of stuff. And it was probably 10 or 15 years ago. I knocked on my first door and I was like, oh my gosh, who's going to come out of that door, with a gun or something? Or is it going to be Hannibal Lecter or whatnot? I don't know. But it's comfortable. But if you're not comfortable with that, the easy thing to do, we got phone lists, not always good, but we can clean them up. You can clean them up for your neighborhood, or your precinct, like we clean them up for our precinct. You can text people. You can do just what we call a literature drop, just dropping information on their mailbox. Not supposed to put it in the mailbox, but you put it in a bag, put it on the mailbox, put a rock in there, throw it in their yard. I will go through some examples of that, or just walk up and put it on their front door. Now, some people have done that. They put it on people's front door and they see them through the ring cam. They may talk to them, or they see them walking down the street or say, oh, I saw you came by the other day. Those types of things. There's strategies where you can literally text people, hey, we're going to be in your neighborhood, tomorrow doing a lit drop to try to get out our neighbors, to come out, remind them to vote. But I'm going to tell you, all of this is about defeating the money special interests, the lobbyists, all of that stuff, getting the legislators and the elected officials to listen to the people as opposed to the lobbyists that are writing the checks and allowing them to send out 20 some odd mailers to get my vote, over somebody else, and the only way we can do that is with, shoe leather. We don't have the millions and millions and millions of dollars that those guys spend on the other side. Somebody told me that they thought AFP's probably spent $3 million, helping Mike Whatley up in North Carolina for their primary for the U.S. Senate race. That's a good investment for them. They got $3 million. They got a whole bunch of money. $3 million invested in, making Mike Whatley feel happy about AFP was probably a good investment, even though Mike Whatley was probably going to win no matter what anyhow. But they spent that money. They wanted him to know that he spent that money, and they want him to feel indebted to him in that way. But, nothing is more important than a neighbor contacting another neighbor. Like when we send text messages out, and we've done it, for other races in the past, I'll say, hey, this is Jeff Davis from 403 McCarter Avenue, and one of your neighbors, and just want to remind you about precinct reorg, or remind you about the the primaries or to get out the vote type stuff. So, I mean, what, and I'll have people hit back, oh, it's spam. I'm like, no, sorry, they'll type back stop because it's coming from my own phone. And I say, oh, I'm sorry about that. I won't text you again. But then they realize, oh, you're actually are a neighbor of mine. And then you get a conversation going. And then they end up being the best person you contacted that day by sending them information. So, I mean, but if it comes from you, and people do have the debate of whether they want to do it from their phone number. I got an 843 number. We got our phones in Charleston when we're in Charleston. So, sometimes people think we're from out of town, but if you're really from out of town, it's got a 602 number or something like that. You got to debate whether, you want to, make the investment and switch phones or whatnot. I don't think it's that big of a deal anymore.
It's not.
These days. I don't. So, I mean, but feel comfortable about it. Yes.
Your new subdivisions right now, like in Fountain and Donaldson area and those places, they are being moved into by people from all over the country. So you have area codes from all over the country because people keep their phones.
Yes, they did.
That is mine too.
Yeah, it's not like the old days. It's completely changed, and there's no arrogance. Oh, you don't have an 864 number. Even in South Carolina's got 2 other zip codes now that I don't even know what the heck they are.
2 area codes in Greenville.
Yeah, it's all kind of crazy. So I mean, even that would look like an out of state number to me. But you can text message and we can show you how to do that. We've got the tools to do that. Literature drops. Door knocking, if you're comfortable doing that and going and talk. But I'm going to tell you the other thing that's out there, and I know a lot of our people don't like social media, but if you want to be a leader in your precinct and communicate out, I don't like the social media stuff. She does, so she kind of does that for us. But I'm like, we got to be in tune with social media. Facebook is the devil, we know, right? And I know we don't want to do it, but it's a way to communicate to a lot of people. The other things are like Nextdoor, all X, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. That's how we've got to start communicating and getting our message out. And even though we've tried to stay on, this guy hates it, and I get it. I get it. I get it. And maybe he has to invest and do something else on some other tools. I get, contribute to the cause that way. But I'm trying to encourage some people to participate on the social media side to be able to communicate. If you want, you get your information out there. I hate it because our life's an open book,
Especially you'll notice during election season, where do you find information about your local candidates? It's social media only. That's just, there's no other way. There's no information on newspapers anymore. Local media, they have to have a lot of money if you want to see them on TV. Social media is the only way.
We literally have candidates come in here, and we like asking them what their plan is. Their plan is investing in social media and spending money and promoting stuff and targeting people that way. There's a lot of things you can do with that, but that's what they're doing.
And you can learn a lot about a candidate, the way they run their social media, the way they interact with people, the way the information they're willing to share or not share, the way they answer questions. Unfortunately, that is the source of information.
So, we've got to figure it. I know our people hate it, but we got to participate in it. If you want to be a leader or if you want to organize your precinct, how do you get out there and do it? And that's the way to do it. And whether we like it or not. Tommy, yes.
I just want to remind you of a nice icebreaker that we heard last week about asking people if they think that we have good election integrity, that they can become a poll watcher or a poll worker.
Yeah. We've got an election integrity meeting 2 weeks from today, where some people are coming in town to kind of go through. But that's a good way. There's all kinds of things, but you certainly don't go in there and say, "Oh, our elections were stolen." It freaks some people out. It freaks out a lot less now because a lot more people believe it. But in the beginning, you talked about stolen election, they thought you were a nutcase. Now it's a serious conversation, and it people have instead of retreating away from it, they're engaging in that conversation. Same thing with sex trafficking. You know, you were a nutcase 5 years ago. You talked about there being sex trafficking. Now there's serious conversations about it. You know, what's changed? I don't think there's any more. It's just people are now like, oh, well, I mean, we all knew there were drug dealers, but we didn't realize there were people dealing in flesh in that particular way, you know. So next is follow up. Oh, I was getting ahead. Only at 6. You know, so first you got, and it has to be consistent, right? So you got to communicate with folks, build your list, mark people off for your list. When you do talk to somebody, they will tell you which one of their other neighbors are good neighbors that you may want to add to your list and get them to come out. Those types of things, and you know, so you know you're always working your data, but you have to follow up with them too. What we're doing now in our initiative of getting people to come out to the polls, you know, obviously we'll do things at the county level to try to plow the ground and make it as easy as possible for folks. Find as many people. Just go out there and publish out as much stuff broad, throw it up against the wall to see what happens, and then be able to get it down to the precinct level so y'all can utilize that extra data. You know, but we got to follow up with them. Be consistent about it. You know, go drop something at their door every 2 months. You know, maybe 3 times, 4 times. You know, before June, just to kind of get that going. But the main thing we're going to try to get to people, you know, we want to let them know that the election's coming up, and then we want to hit them with the voter guide. We got to, like it or not, most people want to be told who to vote for, and if we're not telling them, somebody else is telling them. And it's normally the people with the most money sending 20 mailers a day. But what are you going to believe? I get 20 mailers for candidate A, but my neighbor Ron comes over and he seems a reasonable, nice guy. He says, "Oh, well, I'm involved in the Greenville County Republican Party. I was a RNC delegate, you know, so I know what I'm talking about. And I think you ought to vote. You know, this is the person we're recommending. Who are they gonna vote for? I think they're gonna listen to Ron." But you know, that's the battle against the 20 mailers. But
will we get into any kind of trouble if we recommend a Republican against another Republican?
No, absolutely not. No, we can get involved in the primaries, and we will get involved in the primaries.
Actually, it's important
Yes.
for people like Ron, who is an EC, remind everyone what we can get in trouble for.
What you can get in trouble for, and what we can't do is recommend somebody against our nominee. Once they become our Republican nominee, keep your mouth shut. You know, Mike Whatley, I got a lot of friends in North Carolina who do not like Mike Whatley. I don't have a particular problem with him. I'm very appreciative of him over Ronna McDaniel. I mean, Trump would not be in the White House now if it had been Ronna McDaniel as the chair and Drew McKissick as the vice chair. You know, they were taking his campaign. You know, Mike Whatley and Lara Trump. Okay. I guess me dating her is out of the podcast. I can't say her name. I can say her name. It's a Saturday morning. Okay. Like normal. You know, but you know, there's a lot of people up there that don't like him. But guess what? They got to zip their mouth. They can't, you know.
So to make it clear, once we have a Republican nominee, if you have any position in the party, your responsibility is to support the nominee. You don't have to go door knock for them. You don't have to go do anything for them, but you cannot endorse, support anyone against them.
Can't donate to their competitor.
Is there a difference between endorsed by this group of people and the official Republican Party? Is that a distinction?
What do you mean? So we're talking after primaries.
After
Everyone involved, whether in the local party, state party, you cannot support anyone.
If Lindsay wins the primary, we can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, somebody's running as a libertarian or a constitutional." Yeah.
Or you cannot even
That's not a
say,
worry.
let's write in whomever
no.
lost. You cannot do that.
Right.
You will be kicked out of the party, not necessarily by Jeff,
No.
but they will watch what you say on social media. They will go to the state party and they will remove you.
And they won't let you to the convention.
Right.
Correct.
And they're watching for us.
Oh,
They
they
know. I mean, they get granular in their data, just not, they want to keep it small to control it all. But they watch our people, and one of our people who's an EC, just shared a link for a write-in petition for somebody to get on. We had a Republican nominee. In this case, it was Knox White, for mayor, Greenville mayor, and this person didn't like the Greenville mayor and said, "Oh, this other person is going to, run a write-in campaign," and just shared the page. They got in trouble for that. We had an EC one time that, God forbid, he was more on the establishment side, donated to a Democrat against our Republican nominee. And I look at him like, why'd you give him $500? I mean, I couldn't ignore it. Oh, he's always been a mentor of mine. I'm like, he's a far left liberal Democrat. What do you, I mean, I didn't, sorry, you can't do that. And he understood it. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Dinner with them. I mean, he can be your personal friend, but don't put anything out on the record. It will be used against you.
Right. If you have a position in the party, if you're just a normal person that came to reorg, you knock yourself out, dude. But if you're an officer in your precinct,
before the primaries, you can get involved in any campaigns you want to. You can recommend. I try to stay away from the word endorse, but I recommend people who I believe is the best candidate, and no one can blame you for recommending. They don't have to follow your recommendation, but same with the voter guide.
Yep. So we're gonna have a voter guide that will be probably 2 weeks before the primary, probably 3, because we don't even know officially who's running. I've seen people file for an office, and then I've seen people file for an office, switch to a different office. I've seen people say they were running, did a whole bunch of stuff, and then realized they were never going to win, and they didn't file. So I mean, we don't really know who's filing season starts Monday the 16th till the 30th, noon to noon. So but once that is done, then we'll know what's going on. But then we got to give people a little bit of time to kind of, I could probably tell you who we would probably support, right after the filing season. But we're going to give people the opportunity to get out and meet, and then get sample the party and see where people want us to go. And if it's a close thing, then maybe we need to have a vote amongst the ECs and down to the delegates. However we want to do to kind of get the information of what people support. Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Salisbury from Mountain Creek. I was just curious, when you say 2 to 3 weeks before the primary, do you mean, okay. When you say 2 to 3 weeks before the primary, do you mean 2 to 3 weeks before? Is there
June
voting before?
Well, there's 2 weeks of early voting, so that's why we want to get it out before the early voting.
So 2 to 3 weeks before the early voting?
No, like maybe a week before the early voting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to give people as much time as possible, or candidates as much time to make their case. But once early voting starts, we need to have a kind of a voter guide out for them, and we'll probably take one of those big things and paint a big sign with people's names and all that stuff and put it out. We got 37,000 cars that drive past here every day. We want to let people know who the Republican Party is supporting and who they're not, because in politics, sadly, a lot of it is just this mental manipulation. I mean, they're just manipulating people. The 20 mailers were intended to manipulate.
And we put those in our signs in our yard.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what will happen is, if you become somebody in your precinct that people know is a reasonable person, not the crazy wackadoodle, we'll talk about that, but so a reasonable person, they'll look and see whose sign you have in your yard, and that's who they'll say, oh, well, that's Ron's rep, agrees that thinks this person's good, and I'm gonna agree with Ron because I know he's a reasonable person. If you're the crazy wackadoodle in your neighborhood and you put a sign out, they're gonna vote the opposite. So I mean, this is about being a leader or a team member. If you want to go rogue and crazy and do all your crazy stuff out there, don't be part of what we're trying to do. Because I mean, don't be the guy shooting the birds and all that. I mean, that's I'm not voting for anybody that guy supports, right? So that type of stuff. We'll do the get out the vote, and we'll mention it. But the same thing we'll do with reorg next year. You need to have your slate. You need to know who your leadership in your precinct is. The big homework is going to be the homework of the maps and your walk routes. Then we'll get you the data and you can kind of figure out and then start, and then we'll get you the other handouts and all that stuff. Go back and put them out and then come back and let's do text, let's do some things like that. But the voter guide and then the reorg slate is kind of the main thing with that. Next, get out the vote. We want to make sure we get people out. There's really three things: reorg, primary, and general elections. And back to delivering, we want to set measurable goals.
Jeff, I had a lady ask me, I'm new to the area. How do I find out which precinct I'm in, what the voting started, what my congressional district is, all that?
Well, that goes back to number 3, know your elected officials, and we'll get to that. That's coming. So, and I'm going too slow. We'll go faster. All right, next page, Olga.
And, can you answer Ginger's question? Can you see it?
Yes. Is there an easy way to overlay our precinct map with state, senate, and house districts, school district? No. I really, really wish there was. But if you know your own precinct, you can kind of map it yourself, kind of, the manual way. I think they get this thing so mixed up, it's almost on purpose, right? So nobody really knows who. You can literally, they call them ballot styles. So in your precinct, you're all voting in one location. But Ron may, if we were in the same precinct, he may be in a different school district than I am, because it may have cut it in half. So I would have a different ballot style than Ron. There are precincts that have 4 different ballot styles because they're so crisscrossed in a single election. It's people in the same precinct. So that's another part of being a leader and helping those folks with their voter guide, is to know which ones in your precinct get this voter guide, or at least let them know that these are the people that'll be on your sample ballot, and we'll talk about sample ballots, and then the different people. So you gotta be prepared for it all. I am very fortunate. Mine's in the middle of everything, and we only got one ballot style, so I don't have to worry about it. But other people have to do the work. But most importantly, with all this, set the example. Be the normal, reasonable person in your neighborhood. That don't be the crazy, and know your audience. Okay. So, I mean, it sounds, kind of demeaning or whatnot, or simple, but we really have to be. There's a lot of things I'd like to write on Facebook and scream and yell and but I learned a long time ago, with road rage, you can't flip people off. And then we got a GOP county chair that's doing that, because I represent you guys. If I go out there and do something stupid, I hurt all the work that you're doing, and vice versa. So, I mean, we don't be the crazy, set the example, be there. Olga, if you can go to the next page. I just wanted to put this out there. The 3 T's, this is what people can contribute to the cause and what you do. The 3 T's are time, treasure, and talent. That's really what we have to contribute. A lot of us, if you don't have a lot of treasure, then you contribute your talents. If you don't have any treasure or a talent at anything, you contribute your time. But this is the things that you can kind of do.
Or you just leave us alone. That's helpful too.
Oh, yes.
Their disruption.
That's true, but that's a whole different thing. But I mean,
Not here.
but we have a lot of people, there's a lot of people that are working 80 hours a week, like I used to in the old days, that have a lot of treasure that, don't have the time to come in here and door knock and do all that type of stuff. I want to give them the opportunity to come, hire an intern or do something, say, hey, you know what, Jeff, I'm my precinct DC, or I like doing that. I like participating. I'm aware of everything, but I don't have the time to do it. We want to be able to offer the ability for, it's really twofold, for youth to get up here and do some stuff, because we're making a big initiative on the youth. We just elected Emerson as our first vice chair. He is 19. Dylan is 22. And he's our 4th vice chair on outreach. Those guys are teaming up with other people that we're kind of trying to get involved to kind of get the youth out here. But we had a guy come in earlier this week, and he was like, "Oh, I'm hoping maybe you all might have an internship or a job or something, that we could pay." I mean, he'd probably sit here for $10 or $15 an hour and crank through mapping your precincts out for you and printing your data and maybe even door knocking, maybe lit dropping or whatever in your precinct. we want to be able to offer that to people because, I'm a muscle through it. I'm a time guy. Number one, we muscle through it and we just kind of get through everything. Hopefully I have some talent and try to contribute a little bit of treasure, but I'm like, there's some people that just don't have the time or two, but that's another part of the projects that we're doing. But I really think it'll help us on the youth, getting them involved in it. I mean, AFP was paying people $30 an hour to door knock. We can't really compete with that. And some of I know. And some of those kids were door knocking, for candidates they didn't really care for. But how do you compete against that? So there's a big difference between your neighbor knocking on your door and some paid kid, that especially when the information gets out there, they're getting paid $30 an hour. Well, that's probably. I used to be the guy that voted for who, I didn't pay attention. I just voted whoever the most signs, the most mailers. That's literally the opposite of what you need to do. Okay. Right. Well, of course they had an R. All right. The next page. Okay. Now the key here is a lot of people want their, and I know this sounds simple again, but what is it to be a precinct patriot? What I try to get my neighbors to do, I do not try to get all my neighbors to come up to every coffee politics or meeting or everything we do. I ask them to do three things. I ask them to come participate in reorg every 2 years, come out to our precinct meeting, and come out as a county delegate and vote for the MAGA America First slate. I want them to vote in the June primaries. And I want them to vote for the most conservative of the Republican candidates. And in November, I want them to come vote for the Republican. So, I mean, that's enough. I mean, that's where we need their physical body to do something. It doesn't cost them a dime. I guess to be a county delegate, maybe it costs a couple bucks to come to the convention. But I mean, that's what we need people to do. We're not about cheating elections. So we can't rely upon, we can just print up a bunch of ballots and then fill them all out here in the dark of the night. So we got to get actual bodies. We got to get bodies to reorg. We got to get them to the June primaries, and we got to get them, out, in November. And everybody talks about it. Trump, if Trump's not on the ballot, people don't come out and vote, blah, blah, blah. But, we can get them out to vote. We know they are. We need to, get them in to come out. But don't try. I've seen it way too many times. I can't get anybody involved. I'm like, what are you trying? I mean, they're all trying to get them to come to meetings and get them to come do things and go door knocking. Most people don't want to do that. So you're just trying to get them to do this bare minimum. If they do this bare minimum, we save the country. Them coming to a meeting, we need a leader. We need leaders. You need to do what you're doing, but you don't need everybody here. Ron and his wife just need to be here. Ron and his wife just need to be here, for their precinct. We need a precinct leader, and then y'all need to eventually develop other precinct leaders and all that kind of stuff. But, you don't need everybody in your precinct here for these meetings.
You don't want to.
Maybe not, because it's,
Here too, from Ron. They're probably best represented.
Oh, that's right. There's three from their one precinct. Y'all are over allocated. But don't try to get them to do more than this simple thing. If you can accomplish this, you have won. This is obviously also measurable. How many people came to your precinct reorg meeting? How many of them became delegates and came to the county convention? How many people in your precinct, came to the June primary? We're not measuring you based on how many people come to this meeting or watch the video or anything like that. So don't try to overdo it. Realize people have a life.
And people will be thankful they have someone who's doing the job.
Right.
They will be looking up to you. They will be asking you who to vote for. If they know someone is going to do the job they want to be done, but they're not willing for whatever reason to do themselves, you'll be their hero.
Right. And that's my joke, is I can't wait till I just get to do that. Just come to reorg, come to county convention, vote in June, vote in November, and whoever, Binky tells me to vote for our precinct. We got a lot of work to do, but there will be I hope and pray there's a day where I'm back to that.
At least every other week, because she gets some emails and she's like, what's this about? I need to know. Like, hold on.
Okay. Next page. Y'all have heard me talk about reorg, and even though this is about building your precinct, why are we talking about reorg? Because that's the basis of everything. If we, when the party talks, people listen. I used to listen to what the party said. Now, yes, there's more frustration now out there with the parties and all that kind of stuff. And it's, well, what kind of party is it? A Rhino party, an America First party? Is it this or that? But I'm telling you, we got a two-party system. Nobody listens to the third party folks. You may like libertarians, you may like Green Party, all that kind of stuff, but they're not getting anywhere. They don't get anybody elected. Even those people run as either Republican or Democrat. But we have to take back the party from the Rhino, or from our perspective, the Rhino establishment, because if we take that back, we have a voice. People are going to listen to the Greenville County Republican Party executive committee endorses this person, or that's who we all support. Then those folks will follow that lead, just like they may follow your lead in your precinct. And if we can motivate people to vote for the right candidates, the more conservative candidates, or the candidates that will at least follow the platform, then we'll get better candidates and better elected officials, and then we'll get better laws and legislation. Ultimately, we've got to get the laws changed, right? It's not just, you got to, they did the 10 Commandments, that whatever your cause may be, but it ends up, ultimately, it has to be about legislation. It's not about, oh, wow, we won reorg and now we get to, celebrate in our multi-million-dollar payment for being chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party. No, we want better. We did this so we can get better candidates that will do the right thing down there at the State House or in Congress or local or county council, so we can get better laws and less development and whatever we're trying to get controlled development, and it's just ridiculous. But if you want to know more about reorg, we have a simple one-page site, myscgop.xyz. XYZ. It was just, we got myscgop.com.news, all that stuff, but it's just one page. It kind of starts at the beginning and just walk your way down it.
So we could hand that out.
Oh yeah. But you can look at that. It's out there public. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Next page, Olga. Just for people that don't know, when is reorg? Our reorg, the next one here in South Carolina, it's always in March, April, May. The precincts reorganize in March. It'll be March of 27. The county conventions are in April 27, and then May of 27 will be the state convention. National is on a 2-year schedule as well. They just happen to the next time we'll elect or re-elect the national RNC chair and leadership will be in January of 2027. So again, the simple website is myscgop.xyz, kind of, very simple way to kind of walk through it. Every state is different on their reorg. So, I mean, it's almost like, it's done that way, confusing. But we in Greenville, we have already had the executive committee vote on and pass. We've already set our dates. We set our dates, a year and a half in advance. We will have our precinct reorg on March 1st, 2027 at 7 p.m. on a Monday, and we'll do the makeup on March 6th. I had a gentleman, husband and wife, that were in here the other day asking what they could do. I said, well, come out to reorg. Obviously we got a whole bunch of other things, but I gave him the spiel, the 3 things: vote reorg, June primaries, November elections, and he was putting it in his phone to come out to reorg for Castle Rock in March of 2027. So just know that that's out there. Next, okay. Data sources. These are very good data sources that you've got to learn and spend some time on. scvotes.gov, and I mean, maybe we'll talk about it or we can go through and I can show you, but there is a ton of data on scvotes.gov. If you haven't been there, if you haven't gone through it, you need to go through it. You can get election result data. You can get all, they got training stuff on being, poll watchers and all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of data, but that's the state level. You can also log in and see your voter, that confirm that you're registered to vote. You can see your sample ballot. This is something you just need to know. It will also show you your at least 6 years worth of your voting history. So, I mean, you need to know SC votes and you need to kind of know where to navigate through it. It's not always perfect, but it's from a state level. It's got a lot of data in there. It has polling locations, all that kind of stuff. For your county, each county has a board of voter registration board or whatnot. For us, it's greenvillecounty.org/voter registration. There's a lot. I mean, we can go through. It's a lot of information on there related to Greenville County. So you gotta know that too. If you want to be a precinct leader, you want to know what's going on, and help people in your precinct. Know SC votes and know your local county board of voter registration. The maps are a great place to find maps. There's something called GIS. I don't know what GIS stands for. Probably geographic. I don't know. Do you know what it is? Geographic Information Systems. Okay. GIS in each county, even each city has them. You can but for me, I just stick in Greenville GIS and it'll pull it up, and I've got a screenshot of it, and we can actually go through it. But I can put my address in there, and then I can get my polling locations. I can get the maps. I get certainly much more. I mean, I don't know how much the county spends on this thing, but it's got to be a bunch of money. And but that is a great tool to see general maps. Not always easy to print out. They're not easy PDF type stuff, but the information is there, and there's a whole lot of information. You can also put your address in there. It'll zoom down on your house, and if you hit the political link, it'll show you all your elected officials. Even down to your fire department. So it'll show you that too. So it's something. Another thing that's very important to know is about this GIS system. So I'd never heard of it, before we got involved in this, but we know it now and use it a lot. I mean, when we have people come in here, we ask them for their address. We put in the GIS system that tells us what precinct they are, and we put it on their information, sheet that they hear, and then we try to get that information and roll it back down to the people in that particular precinct. The other site that's out there is Revenue and Fiscal Affairs. It's the state site. So just like the SC votes is for the whole state, and then we got Greenville County, you got GIS for Greenville County, and you got the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs group down there in Columbia. They score bills on how much they cost or will cost, the budget estimates, all that kind of stuff. But they do maps. They got all your maps. They got your county maps, your precinct, and not your individual precinct maps, but they got all 46 of the county maps. They got all kinds of state maps, all that kind of stuff there. So there's a ton of data on that site, and I'll show you a picture of that. And if we get time, we'll click over into it. Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, RFA. rfa.sc.gov. Now, the next thing, and you can buy data on SC votes. I've had people that, if you want to buy it for the whole state, it's $2,500. You got $2,500. We need another download of the data. I'm trying to get it where the data will be less expensive. I will tell you, in Georgia, I think it costs $50, and in South Carolina, it costs $2,500. Georgia is literally twice as many voters as we do. So for $50, I can get 3 or 6 point some odd million voter records from Georgia, but it costs $2,500, which is the max here. And I think they're doing it to keep the data out of everybody's hands. Yeah.
Can you buy by county, or you can buy the whole state?
No, you can't. You can buy smaller areas. I think you can buy just your precinct. So if you're really hot and heavy and you want your most recent data, you can go in there, and it probably costs $25 or so for your precinct. So we do have that. We like to get the whole big thing so we can share with everybody and pull resources and kind of crowdfund it in that way. I'm really trying hard to hopefully get it for free or some lower cost, because the new board chair for the SC votes is not a classmate of mine, but he was in my company at the Citadel in college. So hopefully, but you don't get those jobs if you're not probably part of the establishment too. So we'll see. But what we have, and what Austin and Scott have put together, is something called GOP Plus. So in the old days, which is very difficult, we used to share Excel spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. Some people don't have Excel. They don't know how to use Excel. But at least with GOP Plus, you can register there. We can get you access to the data. They've also Scott has been really big on the legislative tracking tools and pulling in all the bills. There's like, I don't know what, 3,000 some odd, 4,000 some odd bills. You can search all the bills. I'll show you a picture of that. But that's an internal tool. That's not a party tool. That's, Drew McKissick and those guys can't take it. It's ours. We also, and we'll show you a little bit about that, but that's where I go and I use it a lot to look up data. I had somebody, I think they're from the other side of the fence. Their nonprofit is doing some stuff on getting out the vote and civic engagement. First thing I did was go look that person up in the voting rolls, and the last time they voted was 2004. Now, I think they moved out of state and moved back, but I mean, they're not even since they were most recently registered, not a active voter. But I use it to track data, track things, and look people up all the time.
So we can access that with GOP.
.plus, yes. Instead of .com, it's .plus. There's all these whatevers now, but that you can do that. And right now we have it wide open where you got the whole state. So if you got family and friends, and I'm tardy on getting some updates for Austin and those guys to work on since they've caught up and made it everything else perfect. So, but that's for the voter data. The last voter file we have in there is from November, after the November 24 election. But we have it before that election. We got it back to 2021. You can search the different voter files there. It's a whole lot easier than forwarded around Excel spreadsheets. So you just can't do that. We also have internally, we have reorg participation data from prior years. So you need to know probably, you need to get to the people that participated in reorg. If you're brand new, you want to know who came out last time, and you really want to know who came out 2 or 3 times before that. So we'll talk about that. That's again internal data and other data sources. I mean, we have people that are working their precincts, they work their maps, and there might be a big homeowners association, and maybe they don't live in this particular homeowners association, but they got a friend that gets on the homeowners association list and all that kind of stuff. So try to get that obviously for yourself and what you're doing with your work in your precinct, if you have homeowner HOAs in your neighborhood, and then hopefully get it up to us at the county level so we can incorporate it in some of the things that we do.
Glenn says he likes the South Carolina legislature online.
Yeah, State House website, and we've got that on coming up next on how to find out who your elected officials are. But these are the data sources for the voter data and all that kind of stuff. Not for there's a ton of stuff on the State House website. That's you need to know about that too. So I'm just going to keep rolling instead of going back and looking at these. But that's SC votes. You can download Excel sheets, all that kind of stuff. I want to make sure we have plenty of time to get through this stuff. This is the Greenville County voter registration stuff. If you go down, not on the PowerPoint, but if you go to that page, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that Conway has on there. As I said, York County has all the maps on there, which is a lot nicer instead of asking Conway for them.
Maybe plug in really quick boards and commissions since you should be looking at.
Yes, well, we're always looking for boards and commissions. But just a plug for that is we need good candidates. But the library boards all fell apart because nobody was participating in it. One of our friends lives in a neighborhood. Olga's on our neighborhood tax board. One of our friends lives on their tax board, has 5 available spots. Nobody's on their tax board. I don't know who's telling them what to do with their. For us in our neighborhood, it's an extra $25 a year they add on to our thing, and so we have a little tax board for our neighborhood. Apparently, it got voted on way before us, but they're always looking for new people to participate on these boards and commissions. That's a little sidebar from this, but just a plug for that. Data sources. This is the GIS on the left. We can go back and I can kind of plug and play with this a little bit. And maybe what we need to do is some trainings on this and just kind of show people how to. I just want you to at least know where it exists and what you can find on there. And then the next page will come. This is GOP Plus. There's a lot of other things to it, but this is the voter data side of it. And what I do, you can say, hey, what are the people that voted in the last 2 primaries? You can go ahead and save You know, there's a whole training on this you can do just this one tool with people that come out and vote regular Republican, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that's part of what I wish we had more interns and folks that could sit up here and provide those resources. Glenn and some of those guys that are staffing the office during the week know these tools. So if you got the time, you come during the week, they can show it to you and all that type of stuff. You know, so that's available. Next. Reorg participation data and homeowner association, I just put that in there. Now, what I'm saying is even on the reorg participation data, we will help you identify who is good and who is bad. You know, the last thing you want to do is go recruit somebody that we voted out years ago. You know, I mean, it may sound harsh, but I will tell you, these people will lie to you. They will lie to your face, and they will seem real nice. I mean, I remember when Mike Bowden went down to the first state EC meeting, and he met some guy. He's literally a pastor out of some county down in the lower part of the state. And Mike comes back and says, "Oh, this guy's so nice. I think he'll work with us." Blah blah. He's one of the worst rhinos I know. He is, you know. But that's, you know, he made it look like he was a super nice guy. I don't mean this in a harsh way. I like to give everybody a chance, you know. But I mean, we've learned the hard way, and I don't want to see other people learn the hard way. Now, you don't have to take our word for it. But, you know, 99 times out of 100, you know, it ends up coming back, oh, you know, you were right about such and such. And it happens over and over. I do not know what is wrong with these people. They are willing to lie to you all day long, you know, and that's
politics is all they have in their lives.
Yeah.
yes. And going to the governor's mansion for the Christmas party is the biggest thing they've ever done. And that's all they really want to do. And if Drew McKissick will tell them they'll take them to the Christmas party, then they'll do whatever Drew McKissick asks them to do. They will destroy our country to go to the Christmas party at the governor's mansion. And it really sounds unbelievable, but I will tell you, it is really, really that way. It's bizarre. So go to the next page. But again, what we teach people is, you know, don't trust anybody. You know, don't trust us on what we're necessarily telling you. Go verify it all for yourself, you know. But if, you know, and the person you probably really should trust is the person you like the most. You know, I mean, I'm not saying question in politics.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to question me on every single word that comes on. Give me a little credit but you got to check me at least every 6 months, you know, or every whatever time period. Is this guy still on the right side? How many good people have we seen go to the bad side? So even if they were good in the old days, I mean, you know how many people tell me how great Lindsey Graham used to be? You know, that's kind of the example we'll use. I mean, you know, people are upset about it, but you know, they'll say he was great and a patriot and doing all this kind of stuff. You know, we watched Donald Trump, for goodness sakes. I mean, he keeps producing and getting the results. So he keeps getting a little grace on kind of what he wants to do. But sometimes he does things that you're like questioning, and you know, but at least the results have been positive, at least from my perspective. Next, this is how to know your elected officials. The first, if you can go back up, yep. As Glenn was saying online, the scstatehouse.gov is the best tool out there to kind of know and follow, and they got all the videos and the schedules and all the bills. You know, we have all the bills through GOP Plus with the legislative tool that's in there, but you know, it's really a backup. You know, look at what they have at the scstatehouse.gov first. Funny thing is, they have this legislatorsearch.php. I don't know what PHP means. Maybe I don't want to ask, but that's how you can put in your address, and it will show you a lot of your legislators. It doesn't get down into the granularity that GIS will, but it's so funny. Even for that, to get to that, you have to click on something else to even have it pop up in the left sidebar menu that's on the front page. It's very bizarre, but GIS has got that stuff in there, and the SC Votes. If you go to SC Votes, log in as yourself. It puts your legal first name, legal last name, date of birth. I think you have to do the last 4 digits of your social security and hit enter. You can pull up your voter registration card, and it has all of your elected officials or what district you're in. Yes, and after once the filing season is done, it will get you your sample ballot. So if in our precinct, if we had multiple ballot styles in my precinct, I would probably have one person in each of those areas pull their sample ballot for me. Fortunately, I just got to pull mine, and I can show that to everybody in our neighborhood. But you pull that sample ballot, you mark, oh, these are the people we're endorsing, and then you hand that out, stick it on the front door. That's who they end up voting for, if they know and trust you and know you as somebody that's involved. So go to the State House website and that legislator search tool, the GIS has got it, and then back to SC votes.
Jeff, if I remember correctly, I think that GIS actually gives the name of your current elected official in each district, whereas SC votes gives your district.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes, but at least you'll know what district you're in, all that stuff, and but you have to dig a little bit harder for that. So GIS is actually the best. It gives everything that's out there from top to bottom. It'll put it. The SC State House will give you the names, but it doesn't give you everybody. My fire commissioners are not in.
GIS is it doesn't give you the smaller things like your fire and sewer.
It doesn't? Oh, not the name, but it'll tell you what district you're in. Yeah. I think it does. I think it tells us we're in the Wade Hampton Fire District. Yeah, probably not the names. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it gets, I'm telling you, keeping track of just the fire districts in this county is like, that's a full-time job.
Unless you live in the city, that's easy.
Yes. Mhm.
Again, what you said about the ballot styles, to find the other ballot styles in your precinct.
Yes.
You have to just find somebody.
Yeah. And have somebody, if I had a friend that lived on the other half of the precinct that was, and if I wanted to get an actual copy of a sample ballot, I would ask him or her to print it out for me. If you find it effective, I find it effective to give somebody a ballot, a sample ballot. That is exactly what it's going to look like when you walk in there, and you circle the ones that you're recommending. And that's what you print out and copy and provide out there. We can do a simple, 1.5 page, 2-page one of all of the races and who the party kind of supports. But if you want to be, give them something they can actually go to the poll and say, oh, this is what it's going to look like when you walk in there. Especially also with the questions. Sometimes there's questions at the end, when they have, those types of stuff. So that I find having the actual sample ballot helpful. And the only way I know to get it is to get it from somebody, through SC votes. And mine is not the same one as somebody in Charleston. So
Not even other than the current.
well, certainly not others. Yeah, but just so that know your elected official. If you don't know it, go home and do your homework. So everybody knows that, and sign up for social media. This guy, he's brand new, so it's okay. All right, next, precinct maps. We've got Greenville all in one big PDF, but this is what the maps look like. Now, this is my precinct, Timberlake, if you see that on the screen. And then what we did with Timberlake is we drew, and then we tried to be a little clean cut about it. We came up with, and I think we have 23 walk routes in our precinct. So we broke it up so then we can then go back and split it up amongst us in the precincts. Oh, you take those 10, I'll take these 10, or you take those 5, I'll take these 5. And you go do one a week, and just drop stuff off. I mean, we have a walking neighborhood. A lot of people walk in our neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And and we'll show you the bags, and we can just put it on their mailbox or whatnot. But that's the first thing we need to do is get your precinct map. And we'll show you where to pull that for Greenville, or where if you're from another county, you can look some other places. And if you have problems with it, let us know. We'll help you find it in your other counties, because it's out there. Just know it's out there. I mean, I had 2 people tasked on getting precinct maps for Greenville. They were both, this is the way you do things sometimes. They're both going at it from different angles, trying to get it, both getting pushback from different angles about getting precinct maps. And I finally gave up, and I texted Conway and I said, do you need me to send your FOIA request? So you'll have it tomorrow. But I mean, people that were trying to go the right route, trying to figure it out,
Not necessarily through Conway, let's make it clear.
no, yeah, they weren't going through Conway. They were going through, I'm a chain of command guy, so I'd like to send people, and also to check, where's the public getting pushback? it shouldn't be difficult. This stuff ought to be on the web. I wish that all the reporting data was out there. We get the list of people that have voted, a couple of times during the 2 weeks of early voting, so we can cut them off our list and not harass or bother them anymore. But I got to go ask it. If you're working for a different candidate or a different party or a different whatever, you go ask it. We may be teammates together. I might be asking and you're asking. Why don't you just post it all out there? Post it all out there. Yes, Bob.
Is there a list of precinct styles somewhere so that people can know how many
you have?
styles?
I would think again, that's something that's probably published out there, but Conway probably has it. We'd probably have to ask him to provide it for us. What are the different styles? And realize it probably changes every 10 years. And what they've talked about, because some of our precincts are very large. You're supposed to have precincts should be about 1,500. I think our average is probably 2,500. And we have some that are close to 6,000. It's tough finding 51 locations to vote, but they can split them into different ballot styles. You could take one voting location and split it into Walnut Springs A, Walnut Springs B, Walnut Springs C, and D to have different ballot styles that way too. Yes, sorry.
I thought, Scott, you were working on in the precincts that the people that voted for the Republicans, do we have the data? Do we have that?
Yeah, that's what GOP Plus is.
Oh, okay.
Yes. GOP Plus, you can put the area that you're looking for to the county, you can put the precinct, then there's the voted in the last Republican primary, one or both. You can put the street, you can search people by their actual address, see how many people are registered to vote at a specific address. Oh yeah. All that. That's the tool we use to do all that. And
Does that have phone numbers and or emails?
it does not have emails. No, it does not have emails. But it has phone numbers. But I will tell you, the phone numbers we got for the state party, they're horrible. And what we're trying to do is figure out a way to clean them up. So what we will be asking is, if you know the numbers, here's the numbers. Here's what we've got. We can send a mass text to them and see if it gets kicked back and is not actually there anymore. So you can save yourself from calling those guys. But then, help. It's a lot of it's manual. I hate to say it.
I can tell you that Doge is running into the exact same problem. So we got,
Who is? Oh, SC Doge. Yeah, Doge SC. Yeah.
a lot of the numbers we have are old numbers.
Yep.
So
It.
we're in this to clean up that list. as well.
Yeah.
I've had my phone for 7 years and they still have my previous phone number.
Yeah, I looked at it. I've got 3 different phone numbers they have for me, and none of them were right. So, and I'm pretty out there. So if they can't get my stuff right, so it becomes a problem. That's why, quite frankly, if there's a homeowners association list, that those are usually right. But it's essentially what we're having to create. And I don't know. I've gotten data from candidates and from elected officials that you would think it was all good, and it's not. They don't even have good.
I'm on the board in my neighborhood and I can get that list and it's a 100% accurate list, but is it okay for me to
Turn the camera off. I don't know. Different homeowners associations may have different rules and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, or just ask for forgiveness if. What are you asking? The mic? Okay.
Well, Carrie asked, and I'm gonna just hopefully, since Carrie asked kind of the same question a few times because I missed it. Carrie is asking about social media, and she is asking if you want to start a Facebook group for your precinct, whether you do it private, public names, and we can help Carrie directly. But it all depends how much you are on social media, how do you want to be known on social media? Are you willing to work with, do you want to be out there for everyone to see what you post, what you do, or do you want to use it strictly for your precinct? So it's all personal preferences. You probably realize we're all about the more the merrier. So whatever we do, it's out there, open. We don't care if trolls come in. We just deal with it. it can become a headache if you want to use Facebook and start a private group just for your precinct purposes. We have some people do that. You can keep it private. It's harder to find you. It's harder to grow. You will be responsible of adding people to it because if the group is private, you cannot just find it. So there are pluses and minuses for both. It's just all personal preferences. If anyone wants to start anything like that, we can help you individually depending what your needs are. Yes, Daniel. I know you have a group and you're it's pretty open.
My precinct already have a Facebook group page, and we want to encourage everyone in their precinct to do so.
Right.
What is yours called? Do you call it, I'm in Mountain Creek, so do you call yours ex-precinct Greenville County Republican?
I think Daniel is, what is your?
Donaldson Precinct.
Donaldson Precinct. So it's okay to use your name. If you use your name only, Carrie was asking Palmetto Precincts. Well, great for people that know they live in Palmetto Precincts. Majority of people will have no idea what that is. So again, it goes back to what your expectations are. Do you want just for purpose of your precinct, it will be your job to let people know there is such a group. If you want to grow your following in your little political world, you will have to pick a name that is searchable easier, that people can just Google Greenville Republican something, so it will be popping up, if that makes sense.
So my question was more so, is it okay to attach, Mountain Creek Precinct / Republican Party? That's okay to attach the Republican Party name to the group, even though, like, I am a representative of the Republican Party, but I don't speak for, so to speak. Right.
We cannot technically stop you unless we feel like you are literally doing something wrong, and what I'm speaking probably on Jeff's behalf more, we would then try to stop you if you're doing really bad things, and technically you're representing the Republican Party. But other than that, maybe Jeff should be.
Pros and cons.
There's a whole lot of pros and cons,
Right.
and I'm part of a national group that that the Republican assemblies, which are very active in some other states, where the state party is trying to take away their ability to use the name Republican in there. Now they're trying to do it because they're rhinos and they're trying to do so. Yeah, but we have a group here in Greenville. They have our logo. Practically looks like our logo. They have a Facebook page and they write all kinds of nasty stuff out there. I don't have time to go sue them. We don't have time for all this kind of stuff. I think people figure out they're just
Not
relevant and very nasty people. But it's out there. But we're very comfortable with people letting people do this, and we want to be supportive. And that doesn't mean you have to agree with everything we say. We all have differences, opinions, and all that kind of stuff. That's okay. But my thing is we should all be able to talk, and discuss it, because, there may be something, you may have a different opinion about something that because of a reason I don't know, and you may change my mind, and or vice versa. But we don't need to, not talk, and we need to not be nasty out there. That is why we have 15% voter turnout, because nobody wants to participate. And so I wouldn't want to be part of some of these groups.
And I'm going to make one more point on social media. I do everything on social media, but we don't have a group for our precinct. We don't have it because I don't want another group. But we have a group for our neighborhood, and if there is an important announcement that we do have convention or reorg every other year, yes, people start reporting me if I make a post on our neighborhood page. But I talk to the admins and I explain to them, I don't spam with political stuff. If a Democrat person wants to come and announce reorg for Democratic Party, they should be able to. So they're dealing with me, but I don't use that page for every little thing. I just do what's important, right? Literally, probably every other year. Or I will remind them about elections. And I think people generally appreciate it. I use my personal page to do other things, even though I, believe it or not, I don't do a lot political. I send emails to our precinct. That's how I communicate with them, or we go door knocking, literature drop and stuff. I personally don't need another Facebook page to manage and post the same thing what I post for Greenville GOP and myself and Jeff. And
It's good to find a group that kind of represents your neighborhood or your community, and not be the crazy person that spams it all the time.
Right.
You know,
So it's sufficient then to just direct our precinct members to just.
that's what I do. I invite my friends that I know are interested. Again, I don't invite everyone because they will be running away from me if I do that. People, when they ask me, hey, what have your meeting? Oh, I missed this. I'm like, well, why don't you join this or follow Greenville GOP? And you have that option on Greenville GOP. Invite your friends to follow the page, and they don't have to still follow. But I send these invitations. Hey, follow Greenville GOP, and many of them follow. That means you're getting all the updates from Greenville GOP, and they don't have to be in another group.
but some people build it. I mean,
Sure.
and I'll tell you, there's a page. If you go to AshtonGOP.com, it's Ashton. That's the name of one of our precincts. It's a website, ASHETON GOP.com. Now they haven't updated for the new leadership names. They got to fix that. But I mean, they have a wonderful website on there with a bunch of information. But now these guys I know personally, they knew how to make a website, but they didn't want to deal with social media. They're anti kind of social media in that sense. But they asked us about it. We were okay with it. We supported. They put our headquarters address and phone number and email. They put their email, so all that kind of stuff, and they put information out there.
What was the website again?
AshtonGOP.com.
How much does that cost, Jeff?
This
I'm gonna
go ahead.
chime that in. We have one for
Oh yeah.
our
Yeah.
precinct also. It's Saluda Precinct GOP.
How much did it cost?
And it's
to create it?
less than $100 a year.
Okay.
And it all depends what you are willing to do.
But it
which
takes a
one-
lot of work. So somebody, you need somebody.
Because you need to keep updating
But
it.
you can get some young person, they love doing stuff like that.
What is it? Saluda Precinct? Is that what it is?
It's SaludaGOP.com.
GOP.com. So they took the precinct name for GOP. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Yep. SaludaGOP.com. Saluda, SALUDA, GOP.com. And they've done a website for our pro-life committee and things like that. So you can take it to that next level. And you got a big neighborhood. So, I mean, it could be something that, in your case, it may make a lot of sense to be able to do. SaludaGOP.com. Yeah, they got a logo and everything.
SALUDA.
Yep. So, I mean, you can take it as far as you want, but a lot of people will start things and then, get tired of it and don't finish. And so, but we want to be as supportive as we can on it. And there's all kinds of
We
ideas.
had one more question online. Ginger is asking, is there a plan to publish a primary election edition of GCGOP newspaper?
That is definitely on the agenda. I'm trying to go really fast. For an edition, we did a newspaper. We have that the newspaper that we did. So, I mean, I believe we got to hit people in different things. Social media is a big way, but I think social media has gone so far. People want to, they especially for lit dropping, we can get it pretty inexpensively, and you put a lot of data in there. So, back to the maps. This is your homework to get your data. do a walk route, draft it all up, and then but look at Olga skipped a page ahead. Yeah, but find that map, get your precinct map, and then draw out your walk routes, list out your walk routes.
Explain what walk routes are. No one ever had a walk route.
Well, it's where you're going to walk for about 30 minutes and drop.
Walk route is basically you will have list of houses of Republicans that you will plan on knocking on their door, and you will mark on your map for every day how many houses you're gonna walk through and what way. So you literally walk with that map and you know where to go. So you don't have to be just walking around neighborhood, not knowing where you're going. You have a plan. Rebecca.
The bag that we have when we're doing, do we incur the printing cost for the information in there, or do we reimburse y'all for the printing
We'll talk
cost?
about all of that.
We'll talk about that. But yeah, what we want to do is buy a lot of this stuff in bulk,
Right.
and then have people contribute to the cost of it. So
And Ron has a question.
yes, Ron.
Yeah, I just want to add one point about when you're planning walking routes. Shannon and I did a subdivision for a local election, and there were approximately 130 houses in the subdivision, and it took us almost 8 hours just to do that small area. So if you're planning walking areas, think about that. We didn't talk to that many people, and it still took 8 hours. We took 2 afternoons, 4 hours.
But y'all were hitting every door, right?
This is
So this was a local nonpartisan race. They were hitting every door, which made sense for what they were doing. With our stuff and some other things for a Republican race, you don't want to hit the Democratic doors. You want to hit, so you can narrow it down.
Yeah, my point is though, for 130 doors, it took us 8 hours.
Yeah.
So when you plan walk routes, keep that in mind. It does take time, even if you get very little contact.
I mean, there's 2,300 people in my precinct, 23 to 2,400, and we have 23 walk routes. So it's 100,
It's a
probably
great
50
exercise.
houses a piece.
It's a great exercise.
And y'all were knocking on the doors. That's why I'm a little bit more of a believer just doing some lit drops, stick a bag with some newspaper, ultimately,
Time concept.
yes. Yeah. But I mean, for 2,300 people in my precinct, we have, 2,400 people, we've broken into 23 maps. So, but how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So you can't just go knock 2,400 doors and just how do you break?
Ron and I drive and I handle the list and
Yes.
drive.
Yes.
And he jumps out of the car and
Walks.
So that divides it up.
easy peasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a
That
truck.
works pretty good.
You have a truck. It's even easier. Just sits in the back.
And jumps out.
Easy
Get
peasy.
out of the car. Actually, Jeff and Peter together.
We've done that. We've done that in the past. There's all kinds of ways to approach it. There's a whole science to door knocking and stuff. Don't walk across people's, flower beds and,
You can make it
all that kind of good stuff. You can make it fun. But I will tell you, I mean, we had the process, how this got really proven out is, we obviously promoted it or whatnot, but one of our friends down in Dorchester County, they took a school board election. They got the data. They manually text people, that were in there. They did it manually. They drove around. They had these bags and put a rock in there and threw it on everybody's, driveway, and kind of got the information out there and got their person elected. And that's, but that was a very granular. I think they had 5 or 6 people working it, helping that one particular candidate. We break it down into, these are the precincts, and then if y'all want to, if the precincts want to come together and support one person, and get active to get them elected. We did it for our precinct one time on our house rep. We got all the precincts, for this one particular house rep. We met here. We all discussed it, voted to endorse and support one particular candidate, and then we got out there and worked for them. So, that is a way to get somebody elected, but that is us knowing our joining precincts. We got everybody together that was underneath that particular house rep, and then we all support them in that race.
We have 20 minutes.
Okay, so next page. So walking routes. More information. You can always go to a lot of this stuff we put out and have emailed. I mean, none of this is rocket science. None of it's confidential. It is standard things that are out there. A lot of people don't want to broadcast stuff, don't want to put it out. I mean, this is a great room. There's people watching online, but we need, 100 times this, right?
Right.
I mean, there's 151 precincts in this county.
Yeah.
There's 3,000 in the state. How do we get to, we need to get to about like 50,000 people getting out there doing stuff out of a state of 3.4 million voters, I guess, 5.4 million citizens. But people voting. That's what we need, and we're not going to get that if we're sitting in a private back room talking to each other. So it was the three of us one day. We're talking after a meeting at Denny's, and it's like, yeah, we've spent 20 minutes talking, and we got the exact same number of votes before we started talking. We got to be talking to other people. We got to get other people involved. So we don't need to be what sometimes the other side is, which is talking in an echo chamber. But you can go to myscgop.news. We post a lot of our old articles or emails that we sent up. In this case, just search precinct maps, and you'll come up with the whole article about how to find the maps. It actually has a link to all the maps in Greenville, and then how to do your walk routes, and it'll talk a little bit more in depth about it. So next page. So once we get the walk routes, then it's like, well, what are you going to do? You got to, again, get, know the data, know your elected officials, know your precinct. And then it's about what are we going to take out to those folks. And this is where we get into the nitty gritty of what we're going to deliver, which will be phase 2 of all of this. So phase 1, get the maps, bring that to us, show us that, we'll get you the data, and then we'll get the handouts to take out to the next round and get involved in your precinct. But we got people here that are here 5.5 days a week that want to help you. Tommy wants that. We want to help you. Come up here, set an appointment. We'll meet you, all that kind of stuff. And we'll meet you and help you with your precinct. And then we'll probably ask you, hey, can you help your precinct next door? So here's the other part. Can you do a little bit of that? But we'll invest in you if you'll help pay it forward and keep paying it forward. So this is outreach. We got tracking sheets. Some of our folks, that would actually out there walking. This would be for the street that you may be on. You go to the house, and then you can mark them: AF, Republican, Democrat, Independent, unaffiliated. I don't know what, unsure what they are.
We actually use these during, when was it? Elections. We will drive around the neighborhood and use these to mark houses that either had American flag on, Trump sign in, or any other candidate. So we didn't have a need at the time to door knock, but we will use these to mark households. Or sticker in the car, any sign that they would be a good prospect for later for rework or anything. Yeah. So we just drive around, literally put the house number and mark whether what category.
Ultimately, what you want to be able to do is go map your neighborhood during the elections and see what sign people have in their yard.
And you can check the GOP Plus.
Yes.
See.
Yeah.
So veterans tags on their car.
Veterans tags.
Yeah. It used to be very simple. If you saw American flag, that was pretty determinative. I would say that was about 6 or 7 years ago. But now you got Democrats putting an American flag out there. So I look for a Betsy Ross flag. We went and knocked on the door one time. The guy had his American flag hanging upside down. It was when Biden was still in office. I'm like, this is a good house. I'm like, okay, I get it. If there's an upside down flag today, I'm not going up to that house. Don't tread on me. But think about the example. Our example in 21. We turned out 50 some people. You can do that. You can do that. Think about the example of the guy in Beaufort. He turned out 100 people, and he knew them down to the wire of who liked Nikki, who liked DeSantis, who liked Trump. And think about this. We want my perspective. You may have a different one. I want Trump people to come to reorg. I want the hardest, most conservative people, obviously trying to get things done, but involved in the party. That's who we want. We want the most conservative people coming out and voting for the most conservative Republican in the primary. But in November, I want all of them. I will call the Nikki people and say, hey, I've reminded you of the November election. They will at least, I think, vote for the Republican. I'm not always sure. With the Nikki people, there's also ways you can go look at the voter data. We have some of that in GOP Plus to see who people support. You can look up that, but it's really about getting granular in your neighborhood, and you're going to be better than a computer and a whole bunch of money and data. Money being spent and a bunch of mailers. So this is how we beat the other side, and that this is the civic engagement piece of it. So next page, Olga. This is an example of what we will put into like one of these plastic bags, and palm cards. We got the newspaper. We'll do one for the primary. We've done 2. I think they were very successful, and we're going to make them very simple. Some of these concepts, simple concepts, because you got to know your audience. This is not all for us. In the technical, a lot of writing, they want something simple about what they want to know. But save the date, let people know about the June primaries, let them know about early voting, get them a membership form, tell them a voter guide's coming, all that kind of stuff. But you can see this packet. We wrote an article. Just go on myscgop.news and search packet, and that'll come up. Next page. That's the example of the newspaper. That's the example of the palm card, the door hanger. So next page. This is a letter. I mean, you can think about this is something we sent out for our last reorg last year, I think it was. But it was, we wanted people to come, and this was a way to kind of broad brush hit a lot of people. And I think the first year when we turned out a lot of folks, I looked for people that had voted in the Operation Chaos back in 2020 with Biden and all that kind of stuff, and we mailed it to folks. Some people were willing to spend the money, and we mailed 100 of them out there, and we got some random people showed up, to our precinct reorg that just because they had received our letter, and we had a picture of us with Donald Trump. This was just a picture of us with a Trump sign and somebody else from our precinct. But that'll get people involved that way. You can host things in your neighborhood. I mean, for reorg especially, and Q&As and stuff like that, we hosted people to come over for a barbecue and all that. We're cooking out hamburgers if you want to. You can really get involved in this, make it fun and social. Yeah. Oh yeah. Y'all done that over in Saluda precinct, but that's how you can take it to that next level. Think about it as if you're running a campaign, if you will, and there's things you can help with your candidates. You can, we do things to get people, to meet and hear from candidates. Somebody we were talking to the other day, they're doing that for a candidate in their precinct. They're just having their neighbors come over, and it's not really they're promoting that particular candidate or whatnot, but they're wanting folks to be able to hear from a candidate in a more relaxed environment. The candidate was okay doing it. Next, this is a mailer that we're doing as well for somebody that want to, instead of door knocking or lit dropping, we'll have this. This is what we're ordering right now. That will remind people about the June 9th primaries. But if you want to mail 100 of them to your list, your precinct, or 500, I don't like mailers because the stamps are so darn expensive.
It would be because when you're door knocking, only about 10% actually come to the door.
Yep.
So it might be another way to support that as well.
Yeah.
Because you went 2 stops.
Yep. Yeah. So you can mail stuff to them. We look at it as a campaign, but we're really just trying to get voter turnout.
So with this one, what we're going to do, that is being ordered, and they're big, 11 by 6, I think. Like they're a good sized cards.
Okay.
The white little rectangle there, some people are willing to pay for stamps, which are expensive, so they will just print an address in that white box. If you are not willing to pay for stamps, I will be writing a personal note to my neighbor saying, please go vote, and I'll be attaching my business card there. So there will be like multiple use, not only for mailing, whatever you want to use it for. This is the idea of.
What's it cost to mail?
Mail's 70 some odd cents a piece, 79.
You don't get a discount for
No.
This is a regular postcard stamp.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a letter. That's a positive, but it's still.
Yeah, we've just been using first class stamps. I mean, we have worked all kinds of ways to find cheaper ways to mail, and it just, you save a penny, but you'll go through 10 cents worth of work to get a penny. So, but you can put it that way. That's why I personally like the door hangers and just put them on people's door, on their mailbox. That type of.
Put it in your plastic bag.
Yeah. And you can, from what we did the first time in 21, we just printed it, right? So we printed out 100 sheets or 200 sheets of paper, and we just, stuck them in people's door. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I think to print these are like 12 cents a piece if we order like 5,000 of them and kind of spread the cost. So some people want to do that. But I mean, you could, just write up a letter like that letter we had and put a picture and print it off on your color printer. And,
This one, I mean,
you know,
we literally
it's,
printed it
and
out.
I don't know how much these plastic bags are. They're like 3 cents or something.
Does the,
Stick them on the
does
door.
the office here have printing capability and we could reimburse for it, or?
We're not at that high level to do a whole bunch of printing. Some people just print it at work, or they got a couple hundred. Ultimately, I think we would like to get a big printer that we can do a lot of stuff. When we hit the lottery, we'll have that, and then yes, we're looking for the lottery ticket owner. Yes.
Liz got their Grace Branch precinct. If you want to print something, I think not so much color, and it's a little bit less expensive. The library is a good source.
Still, I think 10 cents or so. It's usually cheap.
You have like a document yourself. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So another thing, what I do or what we do, this is we're ordering to be delivered printed. If we order in a huge amount, they come really cheap. So once in a while, we invest and then we ask people to donate back whatever they can. The importance is to distribute it. If someone can donate to help reimburse the cost to the GOP, we will be asking for that. What I usually do, I create similar flyers or convert this into black and white. If someone wants to do a home printing in black and white just to get the wording out, that's an option too. To your point, then we avoid the color. We just do black and white, just the writing, whatever, and that's where you can print.
And that's cardstock too.
Yeah, that is
that's expensive.
I didn't. Bring
And then we can also take just the imaging and text it to people. That's free.
That's
You know?
basically the same,
we-
same cardstock. It's going to be
Okay.
shiny, or what do you call it?
We also have
Gloss.
Glossy
those little label printers. I've got one of
Yep.
those, the one behind you. I've got one of those too. And if you want to take one of these that has the white spot and put in a personal message, you
Exactly.
can type that in and print
Print
100
100 labels.
200 of them, and then you just have to peel them off and stick them on there. You have to write them.
And that's what we've done before is we had the bigger one, the door, and it has a space, and we just this one doesn't have a space. But-
To answer one of these that has so-and-so, your neighbor down the street.
Right.
They're-
So we would print something, put it over here, and I would have my name and our address. That's the key, letting them know that it's somebody personal, not some guy from Oklahoma that's getting paid $30 an hour by AFP. Yes. Can you go back 3? Okay. Which one? One more? One more. Go another one.
It's not
What are you looking for?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I'm
I'm
moving.
doing it online.
Oh, she's doing it. Did you have a question too? But what we're also trying to do is provide a uniform kind of GOP kind of look and feel and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of capabilities to doing this. Now, it'll be easy, and we can do mass text too that we pay. Somebody those the texts that you get that have an image and that they're about this long. We can put those out for 3 cents a piece. If you want us to do that, we can do that and just get the cost reimbursed.
3 cents.
We did 3, and we worked really hard to find the right prices. That's our out-of-pocket cost for those guys. But we can do the other stuff, the personal text, for free. We can do mass text, tens of thousands of numbers for a penny a piece. But if you're going to do for your precinct, it's okay to, we have a system that will allow you to, here's the message, here's an image, and then just back and forth. Just click a button, hit enter, click a button, hit enter, click a button, hit enter. So it works great. So, if you want to get involved in that's what we, it's a lot and it is a commitment. Yes, Liz.
And the texting you can do from like home or
Yes.
here.
Oh yeah, from home. Yeah, we'd like to come in. We'll show the texting as we get the data out to everybody and the phone numbers, and you can help us clean up those phone numbers. But yeah, that's what we do. So, all right, yes, ma'am.
What about just generic, yard signs that says, to remind the vote, on the precinct.
Yard signs are about $3 a pop. We haven't. If we get 500, I mean, we could do that, but we need $1,500.
And
If we get commitment from people to get enough of them, we can do that.
I've been brainstorming how to do, how do you say it, like editable yard sign, because you cannot.
The date changes
You have
every
to get yard signs in bulk, 500, and they have to be identical. You cannot order 5 of this, 5 of this, 5 of this to get total of 500. It's such a complicated job. If you order signs less than 100, they're $7 and up a piece. So it's very expensive.
I mean, even on a precinct level, it says, this precinct, I'm gonna do some in my precinct, just
Right.
random.
So again,
signs.
if depending how much
Yeah.
you want to pay, right? If you want to
Good license, I guess.
blank ones, but what do we do?
But how do
with
you?
blank
I mean,
No, then they can put their own stuff on it.
but how do you write it? I mean, we tried to figure out a way to do
If you
them
print
economical.
stuff, it's gonna get
Get rained on and all that stuff.
If
Yeah.
you write on it, it will be one-time use. You may as well order pre-made ones. So it's all.
We did that with stickers because the primary versus going back to the general election, so it was a real pain to do that. 'Cause we did, try, for that purpose because of the dates, boom.
What you can do, and again, I haven't narrowed down the idea. You can, or we could order something that says GOP meeting today, or just GOP meeting, and then you can put a sticker with the date or something like that. But it's just so much. There's not one generic message that makes sense for everyone.
What we're trying to do is figure out a good way to do this and then to scale it. So what I would, homework
So
for
any
you guys
idea
is take your maps, get the maps, do your walk routes for your map, come back, let's sit down and get to the next level of the data and the texting and how far. I mean, you got a great neighborhood and, to be able to do a lot of stuff. And, the Ashton Lakes folks saluted, what can we do to kind of really, because it has to go at scale too, right? So it has to be somewhat uniform, has to be at scale, but also has to be somewhat custom for your areas, because what works in one area may or may not work in another area. So, but we have the tools. There's a whole list of stuff that we can do. There is some cost, but it's not like, AFB spending $1 bazillion. But, there's a small investment in some of this stuff. Obviously not nobody's becoming millionaires. Yes, sir.
Talking about cost, I love to do name tags. Just to show an example, you can get on Amazon, and for what costs you a lot of money to have a printer print something or to buy it off the market, you go to Amazon and it's cheap as heck.
Some things, yeah.
You can buy by the rolls, by the hundreds.
Agreed.
Maybe a meeting, maybe you can find one that's you can get any way you want.
You never know. That's what we keep trying to find. So, questions, thoughts, critiques? What did you not hear that you wanted to hear?
When do you think you'll have this like printout card ready and then like the newspaper?
Hopefully, the card we know how to order. We get all that stuff. That hopefully in the next 2 weeks. The newspaper, we got to get somebody that can design a piece of it, but it's got to come out soon. So, I mean, it's soon. That's part of what this meeting is about, to push us and push everybody else to be asking us to doing and get volunteers to help with it too. So
I'd like to ask for a show of hands. This question was asked of me a little bit ago here. How many people at this meeting are actually born and raised in South Carolina?
In South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 here. 5, 6, 7.
So that's the minority.
It is the minority, yeah.
Which
It is.
tells you something about
Because we all come
what
from
we
different
have.
shit bubbles and we're fighting.
How many people are
No.
refugees?
But
No.
it gives you an
Right,
idea
right,
of
right.
who we're dealing with here.
No, I mean, yes, and a lot of times y'all have a lot of the things that we do are ideas people brought from other states because we have been sleepy here. The problem in South Carolina is people like me. I mean, my buddies are elected down there. I mean, but for the fact that I didn't move to Atlanta and get out of and practice down there and get out, I'd be a rhino too. I told somebody that here the other day. I would have just been,
Oh, no.
fat, dumb, and happy, not knowing any difference. But thank God I got out.
Perish the
You know, I mean, but that's, I mean, they're not always bad people. They just don't know any better. They think this is the way it's supposed to be, and the problem has been the Southerners or the people like me, whose family's been here forever, is thinking everything's fine because, my buddy's down there, this and that. It's not. We gotta, we gotta work.
Any suggestions on scripting? What questions to ask, what not to ask? Anything that?
Oh, like door knocking?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a whole class on that too. But I mean, it's really, to this effort is about just letting people, being a leader in your precinct, being the example, letting people know you're involved and you care about your country and your county and all, and you're trying to get other people out. You're not necessarily trying to tell them what to do. Hopefully you only knock on the doors of, keep knocking on the doors of people that are conservatives. But this is how you build it up. But this, the easy routes in there is just letting them know about the voter turnout and how horrible it is, and we got to get more people to come out in the June primaries. And here's a recommended list.
To that point, when we were door knocking, there was a phone-in runoff election, nonpartisan. Shan's parting comment was, "We're here representing so and so, but whatever you do, whether you agree or not, please vote."
Yeah.
It's that if you go knock at people's doors and you're there to either invite them to an event or offer a voter guide, you're not asking them for anything, you'll be their best friend. They're expecting people to come and ask for, to buy something. So it's very, people are saying.
Yeah, the guy that lived in the precinct next to us, he'd actually been on county council. He's been involved in this stuff for a long time, but literally people would tell us that, they would just drive on the way to the poll. They'd drive by his house to see what signs he had out front. And that's who they'd vote for. You want to be that person. We want our people to be those folks. We may not always agree all the time, but I'm like, we want people that are involved and know what's going on and not subject to the manipulation. I'm like, it drives me nuts, the manipulation that's out there, and
We are those people in our neighborhood, but to Jeff's earlier point, I have neighbors that post some really, they post some things that I strongly disagree with. I don't go after them because I still want them to go and vote.
Exactly.
We don't agree like on one specific issue, right? It's one issue. I'm not going to go after them or try to change their mind. They're not changing their mind. I still want them to go and vote because I know they're Republicans.
probably Nikki Republicans.
I don't actually know.
Not sure.
There's one area, one field, because of their profession, that we don't agree on.
They were in the New York Times this past week,
Yeah, but
advocating for their position, which is against our position. So that's okay.
I want them to go and vote, and I think we both appreciate. They know what I post, so we both have mutual understanding. What we don't agree on, we just don't talk about that. But I want them to go and vote, so I'm not.
So there's no point of us going and attacking that person because of their
Not even
position.
attacking, saying they're wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, anyway.
We had a gentleman here yesterday that worked on a senatorial campaign up in North Carolina. Very good. They lost, but came in second. But he said, in politics, if you think you know something, then that's you're probably wrong. Because there's so much. Even with my medical professional, with the chemo, whatever that I was having, some of the stuff that I was doing that had very good results, they were literally telling people to do the opposite 6 years ago, right? Yeah, and that's the medical field, for God's sake. So, right.
Don't you think that save the date June 9th would be a good yard sign and a common and uniting enough? You could put it out up front at the very beginning. That would be worth the money.
Large print, not the small print.
Yeah,
the
I
large
get what you're
print,
saying.
If you started out with that,
Yeah.
canvas and
Think about it. That was someone came up, one of our volunteers to save the date,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
people like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
a wedding? Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's like,
They pay attention to the signs and color in the yard, and, that would wake you up early. Yeah, I think.
I mean, I wish we had Texas kind of money, because I'm like, those people, they have all of the systems and all that type of stuff.
Is there a
That's-
way to take that flyer and I could pay to turn it into a sign?
Okay.
turn it into a sign, not a problem.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just the cost of printing a
Yeah,
sign.
okay.
Me on
Okay,
ordering a
got
sign.
you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
But with signs,
Well, if you got.
I mean, I know if you put in your own, like I can't put signs in my front yard because of my homeowners. But, different counties also, Lord Greenville County, as far as putting signs out there's certain time periods there too, right?
60
They'll all be
days.
taken out.
It's like 60 days before the election,
Yeah,
but
we
so
need to keep
that's
that
the
in
other
mind,
thing. That's why I like just
We can
going
go
in the
back to them and pick
neighborhood.
them up.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
already
and I
print
do.
the sign and then get the sticker, because we do that for our Veterans Day picnic. So, and it's always the Sunday before,
Right.
whatever, so we say Veterans Day picnic this Sunday, and then we get stickers to change the date.
The
So
number day, which that's not a bad idea. That's what I was thinking too.
yeah, what you said, we could
Just have
print
save
it
the
with
date.
that red stripe empty.
Yeah.
Or just a sticker you
And
put
that
over
way,
it
yeah,
every
you
time.
make
And then
it
change it from
reconfigure
year to
and
year.
just get like an 8x10 slot where you have your date, June 9th, you have to redo that, but then every year you can.
There you go, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
The dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get all the ideas.
Get your maps off the website, work on your maps, your walk routes, because that's where the rubber hits the road. Know your candidates. That's another big thing. And think real hard about social media. That's how we communicate with our neighbors and all of that good stuff. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we will adjourn, but we'll be here answering any questions anybody's got. We're good?
Are you saying anyone Republican on the list as opposed to voter Republican?
Yes. I would focus more on the Republicans or people that have. But what the Trump campaign, certainly up, Scott Presser and those guys up in Pennsylvania, they focused on people that had not been voting.
Yeah.
Because they got.
Before people leave, you can adjourn
Okay.
online. I have an announcement.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
We're adjourning. She wants me to end. All right. We'll be back next week.
Well.